Well, hello, Darius.
Hi.
Let me once again welcome you to the Data 2020 Summit, and thank you for being with us today. Before we go into further questions, can you tell us a bit more about your background and the company that you're representing today?
My background is primarily in data governance. I used to have a company called Diaku. We made a product called Axon, and that was acquired in January of this year by Informatica. So my knowledge and experience comes in data governance, software, and the approach to implementation to get it working in large-scale enterprise.
We have gathered today here to discuss about how organizations actually prepare for the well-famous data-driven future by now, right? So from your perspective, how can they speed up this process? And how can they assure that they are actually becoming a successful data-driven organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. So data-driven for organizations means having the right information at the right time in order to make the right choices. And so we can translate that into a couple of key things, especially from the data governance space. The first one of those is to make sure that we understand what our information is, that we understand where it is and what we use it for, and that we have quick access to get that information. And what that starts to mean is that we're not spending the time hunting for information, but we have it at our disposal, and we can start to connect and derive insight from that. I think that's probably a fairly standard answer in the data governance space. And we'd go a step further to say that being data-driven is about being able to derive insights and make connections with things. Insight is the ability to make connections that other people can't and to see things that other people can't see. And so if you want to be a dynamic organization, you have to be able to create and drive those innovative insights that the rest of the industry and your competitors don't have. So one of the key advantages of a data governance program is that it helps you drive and make those connections. It helps you see immediately the relationship you have, not just between data elements, but also how it drives your business and how it facilitates your business outcomes. So a data governance program done right is about connections and insight.
To a successful, let's say, implementation.
Correct.
Of the strategy. Okay, so digitalization, fast development of technology, and new privacy policies, GDPR just around the corner. Don't you think that these trends are forcing organizations to reevaluate their information management strategy? So they are turning or focusing more and giving more like a holistic approach to data management. So how would organizations organize this data management in order to meet all of those trends and the future ones that are coming, that are emerging from the process?
I think with regulation, it's these things are theme-based, and it used to be in the early stages with things like BCBS 239 that the regulation was about being able to understand the information that you had, how it flowed through, and the compromises you made with that when you were using it to calculate risk for a bank. What we're seeing with other regulations like GDPR is that that regulation, it isn't just looking at our understanding, it's also about the full life cycle of data management. It's about how we onboard information, it's about how we process and use that information, and also about how we get rid of it to make sure that we're only keeping the information that we need. So these maturing regulations and compliance objectives are requiring that we mature our overall data management practices. The great thing about that is that those are the hallmarks of a dynamic business. I can carefully describe the information that I have. I understand exactly the purpose that I have it for. I control the access to that, so I'm using it for those defined purposes. And then I get rid of the information that no longer has value or purpose to me as an organization. If we're doing that right, that's also a competitive advantage for business. So I don't think we should be scared of the regs. I think we should be using them to help drive forward an information strategy that's necessary in the modern world to compete.
Okay, so while we're speaking of it, what would be some of the mistakes that you see from your perspective that organizations do when it comes to this along the journey?
So people often talk about a silo-driven approach, kind of we sort of act locally. And in data governance, it's a really common thing that we talk about bridging the silos, bridging the gaps. But one of the key things, and I think one of the reasons why I'm passionate to be part of the Informatica family, is that we can also deal with silos as part of our information strategy. In the data governance space, if you do data governance without being able to action your findings, you've done documentation. You need the ability to translate your policy, your definitions into the landscape of our technology and be able to apply those things to improve the data landscape that we have. So it's not just a silo-driven approach to business, but we need to get rid of that silo approach to information management. And if we can start pulling those things together, we can spend less time on our own infrastructure and more time in transforming the business.
Great. So technology is developing, okay, very fast. And along with it, so do buzzwords and hypes and trends like IoT, like artificial intelligence, like augmented reality, data science. They have seemed to they have taken the IM discussion by storm.
Right.
So even if you mention it, it sounds confusing. It might sound confusing. So what would organizations, let's say, have to do so they can organize their data management in such a way that it addresses these trends also in the future? Or keeps up with all of these developing.
So I think, the key thing here is that there are a few common themes around data. There is a proliferation of data because we have more sensors and more information being provided to us all the time. So the IoT, that kind of idea, we have to be able to deal with data at scale. And and anything that comes along that way, data lakes, IoT, it's all about the scale of data. When we talk about AI, so Informatica has its Claire AI program that we use to apply machine learning and AI throughout the platform. But what we're really talking here is AI is about automation. It's about being smart and it's intelligent about the way that we connect and pull things together. So again, whether we're talking about the analytics or the AI, it's about being smart. It's about the automation of that intelligence and those decision-making pieces, so that we can do the right things. Because when we look at our overall data management strategy, we've got lots and lots of data. It's a fairly complex thing, and we want to find a way to help people do the right things with it. So let's deal with it at scale, and let's do the automation and intelligence wherever we can. So all those buzzwords are still gearing towards sensible outcomes for the enterprise.
Well, one last question. What can we expect in the near future? Okay, let's say in the next 12 months.
So I think what we're going to see in the market is the continuing growth of those smart technologies. So improvements in recommendations and analytics and the automation of insight. Machines can do that analysis faster than an individual can. So we've got a lot of interesting things in that space. I think the other thing is about the understanding of impact of data and the use and being able to democratize the understanding of data to facilitate the things that machine learning can't do yet. So we can provide data to the enterprise in the way that they need it in a really timely manner. That's really kind of our drive for the future.
Well, Darius, it was really a pleasure. Thank you very much for being part of the
Cheers.